Alright, what's up, y'all? Hope you're doing well. Back with another romance anime review. Today, we're talking about a show called In the Clear Moonlit Dusk. It's a romance that came out early in the 2026 year. I just finished watching it, and it was actually really incredible. I really enjoyed a lot of it, and we're going to review it here today. Like always, trying to keep up the one full video per week thing going. Been doing that very well. Gonna try to keep it going. Also want to get back to doing shorts. I haven't done shorts in a little minute, just because I've had a lot of other stuff going on, but I'm gonna try to get back into some shorts and do some of that because a lot of people view the shorts, and it's a good funnel to get to the actual main regular video. So I'm gonna try to do some more shorts for the next couple weeks and try to get back to that grind. So yeah, be on looking for that, the one videos per week. Also, I kind of want to change up a little bit how I do the reviews. I feel like the last couple videos, the way I do reviews, usually I just go through like every single moment that the couple goes to and then give my little 2 cents on the moment, and then at the end kind of give my whole spiel. And those videos have been taking a lot long recently. The last couple videos have been like an hour plus and whatever, and I kind of want to change up a little bit and kind of want to make it a little bit more shorter, compact, but talk about the shows in general and a couple more in general instead of just picking out every specific moment. So today we're gonna start that, and don't be surprised if we see the last couple videos and kind of redo them, like the last 2 weeks of videos I kind of redo and put them out just differently. I want to try it, so we're gonna try it out here today. But yeah, I kind of want to do that, just make the videos more shorter, more watchable, I feel like. But yeah, now let's get fully into the review. So, In the Clear Moonlit Dusk. This was a show I heard a little bit about, just a very little bit about, and I was, really excited to watch it, especially after watching, Timon's B-side, and You and I are Polar Opposites were the two videos that I did before this. And this was on my third. I was like, I really want to watch this, and I really enjoyed it, man. I really felt like it was super incredible. Especially, watching it more and more, and like it was really good. It was really good. I love these main couple, these two characters. This show was so interesting to me. I was hooked, honestly. Once it got to like midway through the show, I feel like I got really hooked on it. And I binge watched it throughout an entire day at one point. But I really enjoyed the show a lot. The animation was really cool. These characters are so pretty and all this stuff, but also the story behind it just felt so like good. So let's get into talking about them. So our main couple we have Ichi and Yoi. That's how I'm going to be calling them. Those are our two main couples. And yeah, let's just get right into going. So our first meet we get of these two is in school. Yoi is kind of just around walking out. I forgot exactly where, but she's walking out around, and all of a sudden this guy with white hair just jumps out from who knows where, a building or window, I don't know where he jumps out of, but just kind of jumps out of nowhere and kind of lands right in front of Yoi. And they look at each other, and Ichi just calls her beautiful and touches her face, and also asks, are you a guy or not? Which what she gets a lot. And Yoi ends up scolding him and leaves. Kind of just walks away, and Ichi's just really fascinated of like, dang, that was a good looking guy or girl, whatever he was. That's how their first meeting goes. So let's get into these characters actually. So we have Yoi, our main girl. She is a tomboy. Shout out to the tomboy. Tomboy supremacy is back here. Always for her entire life, she's been kind of tomboy, kind of taller than everybody. More boyish looking than a lot of the other girls, with her haircut and her face and all that. And she is famously dubbed as the Prince because she gives off very princely vibes, again, being really handsome, being really dependable, serious and strong, and all the girls look up to her and admire her and have secret crushes on her. So she's always been known as just like the prince, as like the tomboy, and she's actually kind of like accepted her tomboyness. She says it multiple times throughout the show, like, I'm not meant to be like, this is who I'm meant to be, I guess. Like, I'm supposed to be put on the strong, dependable act. I'm not a princess. I'm a tomboy. I'm a prince. That's who I am. She's very kind of serious. She's very stoic, very stern, very strong, serious. Also kind of shy to other people, but not afraid to also step up and when something's wrong, say something about it. She doesn't really have relationships with boys or doesn't talk to boys a lot, or doesn't know much about relationships or love like that in general. She's just very kind of to herself, but also very kind of like cautious and very like kind of like I guess say needs a plan for everything. Like she's just a very kind of like studious, like by the books, kind of straight edge a little bit type of girl, while also being a tomboy and the prince. And then we have Ichimura or Ichi, who kind of is some sort of an opposite from her. He doesn't really care too much about a lot of things. He's very kind of chill, kind of like a down for whatever type person, has his little group or whatever. And he's just kind of always, like you see it, he insinuates a lot in the show, he's just kind of down for whatever. You guys want to go somewhere? All right, let's go. You want to do this? Go. He's one of the people that I feel like kind of like me in a sense, where it's like, don't have a lot of care. You have your few specific things you care about, but if it's not those few specific things, you kind of are just like, whatever. I don't have strong opinions about, or a very picky person about everything. I have my few things that I really care about, but after that, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. With everything else, I'm down for whatever. And he's also very, very popular. A lot of the girls really, really like him. He's also dubbed the Prince, for his own grade, in his own right, because he has the looks, he has the personality, but also he's rich. His grandfather owns a bunch of companies or whatever, so he's a rich kid too, even though he doesn't like to talk about it a whole lot because, he's had some things in the past. We're going to get into more of that a little later. But he just doesn't, brag about having money or anything like that, but is rich, and a lot of people kind of find out that he's rich. And a lot of girls like him, and a lot of girls always try to get with him, whatever, but he doesn't really engage in it. He has very few words. He doesn't really engage in that too often. For the first few episodes of the show, we see, Ichi has developed some sort of an interest in Yoi and trying to get her to know her more and see more of her faces, because I guess to him she's very amusing to him. It's like her faces, her actions, the things she does. I just can't stop looking at her. And he gets enjoyment out of just seeing her in general, not only just seeing her faces, but just seeing her anywhere. Literally, like going out of his way to see her in different classes and seeing her here and there and getting a chance to talk to her. He just always has an eye on her, which at first, you think is love, but he doesn't really know that yet. And he doesn't really get it much. He's just very like, dang, I just like seeing her face. I like seeing her. But he never says I'm in love with her or anything like that. He does say at one point it's an emotion that maybe could be similar to love, but he just kind of doesn't really get it yet. He's also very touchy at points too, like grabbing her hand and very kind of close to her a lot of times too. And just seeing at first him kind of try to initiate a lot of different things. He's also very direct and forward a lot of different times as well, because he's just kind of used to this. And yeah, just seeing him kind of figure out his emotions and kind of realizing like, okay, I'm very interested in this person, let me go for it. Which is something we see a lot in this season of anime with the you and I polar opposites. The same thing happened where it's like, we're just going for it because why not? And I really like that. Meanwhile, on the other side, Yoi is still trying to figure out if he's actually serious or not, because she's under the assumption that he might be just like a playboy, and she also understands that a lot of girls, like him and are all over him. So she's kind of trying to steer back and kind of being like, the things he's doing, like when he flirts with me or when he's serious about me or whatever, is he actually serious about this, or is it just another game to him? Because I don't want to be someone that gets caught up in this game. She also does have experience with this, so like I don't want to get duped. I don't want this to happen. So I'm not gonna push too much. I'm not gonna engage in it a lot, because I still am trying to figure not only out if he's serious or not, but just trying to figure out him too. Because honestly, in the first couple episodes, he was very, like, I was also kind of struggling maybe a little bit to figure it out, because it's like at first he comes off as like that himbo aloof type, but it's like, okay, wait, no, he's not that, because then later he's not very aloof with girls or whatever like that. Then I thought, okay, maybe he's just an airhead, but no, he's not an airhead. I don't think, at least he doesn't show that. Then it's like, okay, maybe he is a playboy, but then he also has some things where he says, well, I don't really know how this works or whatever, and I'm not in love or whatever. And then it's like, okay, so he's not a playboy. So it's just very kind of like, is he a liar? Is he a manipulator? Maybe, could be, I don't know. The first couple episodes, like every scene, you change kind of your opinion of him, and you're like, dang, is he this? Is he this? Is he this? You can't really figure him out. You know, he just kind of does whatever he wants to do, in a sense. So Yoi is going through that in her own head too, of like, is he actually serious about me? Does he actually like me, or is this just him having fun? And am I gonna fall for this situation? Like, I don't really know what to do here. So she kind of like tries to keep her distance of some sorts. They have a lot of situations together and they hang out a lot together. And Yoi actually is the one that starts to feel like fully fall first, which was very, very surprising because you would think that Ichi would be the one that would be like, yeah, I fall for you first or whatever. I think you end up going on a date at one point, but Yoi is the one that I feel like actually starts, or we actually see her perspective of her falling first. Even though I think we kind of assume Ichi's falling a little bit, but Yoi's the first one to kind of fully commit to it. She starts thinking about him a lot. They have a little scene after where, you know, because they first start dating as kind of like an experiment for Yoi, just to see like, okay, what does he actually feel about me? So let's just date for like 2 weeks, experiment, and see how we feel about each other. Kind of like a little trial run, you know, little free trial. And at one point near the end of it, Yoi is kind of like, I forget why she's kind of like upset with him in some way, but she is. And she says like, I want him to say that he likes me, but he's not doing it yet. You know, he's still kind of just playing in the middle of like, yeah, it's chill, it's whatever, you know, we're just out here dating, whatever. But she kind of says like, she's yelling at him and says at one point like, you haven't even told me you like me yet. And then later she's like, why did I say that? But something deep in her heart was like wanting him to fall for me. You know, if at this point she doesn't really fully realize that she is in love with him yet. She's still kind of in her head like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? Still trying to be cautious of everything. But deep in her own heart, she actually already fell. She just doesn't really know it yet. They have a moment where they almost kiss at one point while they're walking outside late at night. And this is the moment and the points where we start to see Ichi thrown off a little bit. Again, he's usually just like, you know, cool, calm, just chill down for whatever. But this is who he is as a person, and we're still trying to figure him out. But at this point in the show, this is the points where I felt he's really starting to fall hard. When we see Ichi starting to get thrown off a little bit, you know, with, you know, almost kissing her, but then he didn't. And after he said, dang, I couldn't really do it. You know, why couldn't I kiss her? Because if I did kiss her, things would have got too crazy for me. Also trying to respect her boundaries, because she's not a touchy person. She's always like, hey, don't touch me too much, you know, we're still figuring things out, while he's kind of like a touchy type of person with her, become very possessive with her, because, you know, he actually starts to care about her a lot. So now he's kind of been touchy and possessive. Like at one point she says like, you're kind of possessive, huh? And he's like, well, I never heard that before. I guess I just never really cared much, but now that I'm with you, I kind of care, and I want to like touch you or hold you or whatever. And so he's trying to respect her boundaries of not getting too touchy, and he does that a lot throughout the show, where he's like, you know, touches at first, but then later he's like, okay, wait, like, do you want to hold hands? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? For a lot of this show, he kind of lets her decide how things are going to go. He never pushes. He never, you know, tries to do too much or whatever. He does have little fan servicey, you know, picks here and there, but fully he wants like Yoi to kind of be like, hey, you decide. If you want to hug, you want to hold hands, I'm here. Do it. You know, whatever. But this is the moment where we started to see him get thrown off and him think a lot. You see him think a lot about like, dang, I'm thinking about her a lot. You know, I feel like I'm a different person now. I'm getting thrown off a little bit. And even at school, after the almost kiss happens, they have a moment where they get close again, where she kind of does a little grabbing of the shirt and be like, no, don't leave yet, while he tries to leave. And when they both go their separate ways, they both start feeling it really hard, with both of them kind of collapsing a little bit and being like, dang, that was a lot, you know, for the heart. So we finally started to see Ichi kind of break that little persona of him being like this cool dude a little bit. Also with Ichi, we see little bits and pieces about, you know, his opinion on dating and whatever, and why he is the way he is, you know. And we see some flashes of the past where he's never really had anything serious or had any true emotion behind dating before. Like, with all the other girls, he's never really felt anything deep in his heart, it's always more just been like a cool casual thing, where he even says it, like at one point he says like dating is just like having fun, making out, ends with no strings attached, jealousy, we just go our separate ways because eventually the fun ends. So we kind of see his past of like, dang, okay, he's never really had any serious relationships. He's just always been kind of just like, which explains the chill, down for whatever personality, of just him being like cool with anything. Cause it's like, I've never really had these big emotions or anything like that. So it's just kind of like, whatever, which also maybe explains the touchiness part of it because they have fun a lot on dates. So he just thinks that's kind of, I guess, normal in a sense. But with Yoi, it's very different. With Yoi, he's starting to think in his head, like with Yoi, it's like, dang, I actually feel something. I actually don't want to push too hard. I actually want to have fun and I actually want to do these different things. See how Yoi kind of just has changed him as a person. There's also a lot of times in the show where Yoi, because again, Yoi has no experience and it's still in her head, she's very cautious because she thinks that he might be, playboy, and she knows a lot of girls like him or whatever. So she says a lot of times, like, I know you used to this with other girls, you used to doing this with other girls, you used to doing this with other girls, but to me it's different, insinuating that he has some sort of, just a bunch of experience. And eventually, finally, it kind of, he says something about it at one point when they're walking home and they're trying to discuss, like, for the summer festival, what are we going to do, whatever, and being touchy or whatever. She's like, well, with other girls, I know it's cool. And he finally says, like, no, like, you think I have all this experience? I don't. This is so different for me. This is just like a regular relationship that I have. Like, this is so different. I'm still trying to figure things out too. And it leads to a little bit of a small rift where they both kind of just don't talk to each other for a little bit. And a lot of it is her cautiousness. She's a very cautious person. We see this throughout the entirety, throughout the entire relationship. With her not kind of, her thinking like, is this serious or not? Is he actually serious about me, or is this just another joke to me or to him? Not trying to be too touchy without, having the trial run of dating, before actually going through with it. She's a very cautious person and very kind of like, I don't want to get duped, but also I don't really know what I'm doing here. So I'm just not trying to be too cautious. And before this moment, her older sister actually had like a conversation with her, and she said something very important where she's like, I don't remember the full exact quote. I should have wrote it down, but I forgot to write it down. Stupid of me. But she basically said, like, it's okay to be cautious, but if you're too cautious, that could lead to, basically what she said is basically like, it's okay to be cautious, but sometimes cautiousness, too much cautiousness, can lead to, bad things and lead you maybe to not getting the things you want, which makes sense. I mean, having too much of something, you always want to have a balance. You always want to have balance of different things. And but caution is like, it's okay to be cautious. It's okay to think about things and not want to jump into things right away. But sometimes you got to have that little bit of like, you know, let the walls down a little bit, because if you're too cautious and too kind of pent up, things could go away, and you could think too much, and that could lead down to some bad paths. And this is where her cautiousness came back to bite her here, because she's so cautious about, like, I don't want to get duped. I don't want to, he might be, is he serious about me or not, and not wanting to do too much. And again, insinuating like you have, well, other girls, it's okay with other girls, with other girls, with other girls. It finally came back to her of him kind of being like, hey, like, the other girls don't matter, you know, like, this is you and me, and kind of, he finally says something about it. And seeing that little rift, which is very, realistic, if she kept, if you were in that situation and she kept saying that when it's not true, you'd be kind of like, it isn't true. So why are you saying this? It's not true. I think what really got me hooked onto the show, what really made it kind of like top tier for me, was episode 7, the 7th episode, where, we come off the rift that they have and them not seeing each other, and they decide to go to the summer festival together, but then that little argument happens. So now they're both kind of like, are we going to the festival? I don't really know. And both of them doesn't want to touch the other one because they think the other one's mad, and it's that sort of thing. And eventually, we learn about Ichi's dating past in this episode, where we see, his past relationships where all the girls he's been with just wanted him for his money. So he kind of just like didn't really care too much about them, and he knew everything going on, but he just kind of was like, whatever, I don't care, about all of that. And so that's why he never really had emotion. That's why he never really is close to people in general. He's not a people person. He's not a person that's just gonna have a bunch of people he knows. Like, he knows everybody. He has his little friend group, with Centauro and Kua, but it's not like he's just like out here having a bunch of friends and being in person. And a lot of that is because, seen in the past, like the girls he's been with have been super superficial and been like, oh, well, he's a handsome rich guy, so of course let me hitch my my boat onto him and let's go. Never actually seen him for actually being a real person. He's always just been like the hot rich rich guy. And then also we see little tidbits of his family with his brother, where his brother was also in that situation where he had a lot of friends and a girlfriend or whatever, but they only liked it for his money, and then eventually that came crashing down. And seeing how his life turned out, and he kind of was, and Ichi saw that and was like, I don't want to. I'm not doing that. So he kind of just said, forget people and whatever. I'm just gonna be me, and all that other stuff, love or whatever, doesn't matter. And it kind of makes sense when you think about that. And then you see the first couple episodes, and then you see that, and you're kind of like, okay, things start to make sense with him, you know, being kind of like this in relationships, and also always saying things of like, I never done this before. I kind of just went with the flow with everything. I don't really have this much experience. And you see it kind of just like all comes together and makes sense. It's like, okay, that's why he's not really that's why he's been like this, you know. And then finally, Yoi ended up going to the festival for him, kind of realizing what she did wrong and being like, okay, I want to see him happy. I want to go to the festival. Then finally seeing each other at the festival. And then we get the confession scene of Yoi confessing to him. And it's a super great scene. And they just pulled it off so well with her kind of like turned away from him and her kind of just letting everything go finally, of her being like, yeah, I like you, like I don't want to see you with other girls, I don't know how to do this, I'm just a tomboy, I've never been a princess, I never felt like a girl before, and I just want you to be infatuated with me. And just the way she's going and going and going on, and kind of finally being real, and kind of finally just letting off her walls and everything, just kind of free flow and shoot, was so just like a breath of fresh air, and just really much needed for this because of how much she's so enclosed. Finally having that kind of just like ah moment was so good. And then Ichi being very happy and them kind of coming to terms with dating each other. I think that episode was so well done throughout the entirety of it. It gave us so much, well, with obviously not even just the confession scene, but again, learning about Ichi's past, seeing Yoi's, perspective of things, and having them all come together into one of the end of them confessing to each other. That episode really put this show, like, I thought it was good. That episode made this show jump up a tier or two of like, oh, this is incredible. This also changes Ichi too, where Ichi kind of is like finally says what he feels a lot of different times. He looks and just feels super different from the first couple episodes. Where at first, again, he was just like this kind of cool playboy or whatever, and he still is that. But now he's kind of been a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit more open to Yoi and being like, yeah, I just wanted to be with you, and kind of just showing his awkward side that we never know he had. Because he never had to show this awkward side, because again, he's never been that close to people that he hasn't really had to show that. But with her, he's so close to her that now he's been showing like, I don't really know what to do in relationships. I don't know, what this is. This is different. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm just kind of going with things and trying to figure it out, because I've never actually fell in love with somebody. It's always just been fun, whatever, girls that don't even see me for me. So it's kind of like, I don't really know what to do either in this situation. I'm just trying to figure it out too. And I think that was really nice. I think they did it really well, and really nice to see him kind of go through similar things to what Yoi's going through, just, flipped on the opposite side of things. We also got to talk about a third guy. A third kind of wheel gets added into the mix at one point. That's OG. OG becomes a actual like big piece to the story a little bit down the line later. He's someone that ends up working at Yoi's family's curry shop, so him and Yoi are like co-workers or whatever. He's also been dubbed as a prince like guy. He has the looks and kind of like the stoicness and the personality of like a prince and like a royal, like that's a guy. And apparently OG is like a similar word to like prince in Japanese, so that's like a play on words there. But he's also been like a prince type guy, so we have a third one here. They got to get new names for these people. Everybody can't be prince. All right, we gotta change it up here, okay? He also eventually ends up developing feelings for Yoi. You know, after Yoi kind of tried to go to him for advice on like during the summer festival, like should I wear yukata? What do guys like? You know, like him giving her confidence, and then they kind of had, to be completely honest, they did have a little bit of chemistry during their first meeting with them talking about different things and both saying like, "Oh yeah, I've been called Prince too," or whatever, and him being like, "Well, I thought you were just a pretty girl at the beginning. I didn't know you were, going through this too," and them kind of just both kind of, you know, relating to a lot of different things because they actually have a lot in common, you know. So there was some chemistry there. There was genuinely there was some chemistry there, but he eventually ends up developing feelings for Yoi. One day they go out to the mall because Yoi's dad had to close down the shop, so they just went out together because why not? And he actually ends up confessing on the walk home and just kind of being a little bit touchy and hugging her and then just like kind of walking away, also being like, he's like, I noticed that, I noticed you were a girl, I know you, that's really important to her, of like being noticed as a girl and whatever. I noticed you like that and I think you're great, and confessing. And then we also see the background of OG after this too, where he's always just been very nervous around girls, because he kind of, they and at least what I think, they kind of put him a little bit on a pedestal because he was like, oh my god, the cute guy that plays soccer and is tall and handsome, whatever. So all the girls always just kind of wanted him, but he just never really. He's just someone that was always chilling, wanted to hang out with the guys who play soccer, and we just chilling and having fun or whatever. Now you got girls into the mix. It's kind of like awkward because I don't know how to handle that situation, which is like way too real. That's like everybody. So like he's always just kind of been like awkward around them, whatever. He's never really had many feelings for girls. He goes to an all boys high school, so he's just never really had an interaction with girls. So he's always just kind of been like awkward around them. But then he went to a curry shop one day and saw her, and that kind of sparked his interest right away. That's why he started working at the curry shop. It actually was a really, really wholesome and sweet story, and I hate it because he actually is a good guy and a good character, and you kind of, and I hated that he had to lose. I really did. I was so conflicted during these parts because I was like, oh, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him sad or mad, because he's just a good kid at the end of the day. And it sucks that he's built in just to lose, and we hate that, especially because he's not a bad person either. So it's like, why? Well, we hate to see him lose, and then you see the backstory of him and you see he wanted to work at the shop because of her. And it's like, oh, if this was another show, man, we gotta get him another show. We gotta get you another show, get you another arc, and hope you find a way to win at the end of the day, man. But yeah, it was super sweet. But it just sucked because it's like I love this main couple of Ichi and Yoi so much, and I'm so invested in them that I had kind of like not forced to hate OG, but it's kind of like a OG moved to the side, man. And it's like he shouldn't have to just be moved to the side. He should be treated with more respect, man, because he's actually a good guy. But we kind of have to put him to the side because it's like you're not gonna win here. But he becomes very important to this show during the last like two-ish episodes. He actually becomes very, very important to the main couple because OG, with him confessing to Yoi, he actually also tells Ichi about him confessing too, because Ichi goes out with a childhood friend of his, Yoshiko, who came over to his house, and they went out to the curry shop where he was working. And OG was kind of like, "Hey man, like you have a girlfriend, shouldn't you not be out with another girl? Isn't that kind of weird or whatever?" And Ichi's like, "Why do you care? Like, what's your problem? What is up?" And in the back of his head, because Ichi's friends have always been like, "Hey, watch out for that coworker guy. He might have feelings for Yoi or whatever." And so Ichi finally was like, "So you have feel why? Do you have like a crush on Yoi or something?" And OG was like, "I already said what I had to say," kind of insinuating, "Yeah, I confessed to her, whatever." And Ichi gets very jealous of this, and this is big because then later Yoi ends up going to Ichi's house where they eat together. He kind of makes a little move on her, and then asks her like, "Hey, so OG, what's up with that? Did he confess to you? What's going on?" And then they kind of have to have a big conversation. Or Yoi says like, "Yeah, he confessed to me and everything, but I turned him down right away, and I just didn't want to bother you with that, so I didn't tell you. It felt like I was hiding something from you, but I didn't mean to hide something from you, so I'm sorry." Then Ichi was like, "Yeah." Then he talks about Yoshiko, where Yoi gets really mad because she already again had a fear in the past of other girls with, you know, Ichi and him having all these girls liking him, whatever. So she kind of gets mad too, of like, hey, why are you out with her? You could have told me that too. You went to my family's restaurant when I wasn't there with her and didn't even tell me about it. What the heck? And so they both have a little bit of like a kind of a little bit of an argument before it kind of settles things down. And then Ichi says something really kind of out of the blue. Maybe not out of the blue, but very kind of like, why did you have to say that? Where he says like, but I mean, I understand what OG, like I want to be mad, but I'm also mad because I feel like, if OG was the one that approached you first, because he also says like, I seen you kind of had chemistry. I seen you guys talking. I see you guys working together or whatever, and you guys have something a little bit there. And if OG would have approached you first, you would have went with him. You probably would have chose him over me if he would have been the first guy to approach you. Which is like, why did you have to say that? There was no reason to say that. You could have just kept that in the chamber and forget about it a little bit down the line later. Why do you have to bring that up? I don't really know what possessed him to bring that up. But then she gets super angry and leaves the house because earlier during the confession scene, early on, you know, she also says that the reason she was kind of being cautious and didn't want to, like be super touchy and go over the hill for Ichi is because she didn't want to seem as someone that was, the first guy that gave her attention. Oh my God, I love you. Because I guess she's never been in this type of situation before. She didn't want to seem like that type of person. She never wanted to be seen like that. She wanted to actually build a genuine connection and feel with Ichi and not just be, oh God, first guy that actually sees me as a girl. Okay, I love you. And that was something big for her early. And that she said that multiple times. And so him saying that kind of insinuated that, she would have just attached to the first guy that gave her attention, which she doesn't want. So that's why she got super angry, understandably, because again, she told Ichi this, and Ichi still going out and saying that just really rubbed her the wrong way. And I understand her being very, very mad about that. So it causes this is like the first real adversity that they've been through together. And so then they don't talk, and it's very weird. And then Ichi kind of realizes, dang, I did mess up there, and he realizes like I want her to fall for me too, you know like he thinks about like, dang, what was my previous life before Yoi? I don't even remember, because like things have changed so much and I'm such a different person. Like I went and messed things up. I can't mess this up. And so he ends up going to buy a bunch of sweets for her because he knows she likes sweets, and that's the only way he knows how to, you know apologizes, says, all right, let's get a bunch of sweets for her and do like he literally buys like a table full of just a bunch of candy and sweets and chocolate just for her. And he even says it's like, it's the only way I know how to apologize, because I've never been in this type of situation before, because you're the only person that's actually been serious with it. I've never had a serious argument with a girl, so it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just, here's a bunch of sweets because I know you like sweets. Which actually she actually really likes it. She's like, dang, he went through all this just for a little argument like that. What the heck? And then we see on Yoi's side of things, we see she finally realizes like she with Ichi, he's the only one that ever made her actually feel like a girl. Because again, she's always been a tomboy, and she kind of at this point has accepted like, I'm just a tomboy. I'm not meant to be the princess. I'm not meant to be a girly girl. That's just not who I am, I guess. That's just not what society has for me. But when it's with Ichi, it's super different. I feel like a girl. I feel like I actually be myself. I look different. I feel different. Like this is just different. I feel like I actually be me. The awkward, shy kind of girl. Like that's the only time I've ever felt like that, and that's who I really am, and it's because of Ichi. And so then they finally end up coming back together, and they also talk a lot about, well, mention it a little bit in the show about fate. Like, oh my God, the two princes together, it's like fate. Oh my God, it's fate. And Yoi kind of has always been kind of like, is it fate? Like, what does fate really mean? It's just coincidentally we happen to be two princes and we happen to just, bump into each other. Like, is that really fate or whatever? Like, or meant to be? It just kind of happened coincidentally, kind of insinuating that she thinks fate is just like the love in this is supposed to be just some magical thing that happens, supposed to be planned. It's supposed to be like set in stone or whatever. But this wasn't. It just kind of like they bumped into each other. He got interested, she got interested, and then it just kind of happened. And it's just like, yeah, whatever. But then she kind of figures this out at the end where she's like, dang, you know what? We ran into each other coincidentally. It was never planned. It was never felt like meant to happen. But we just kind of got interested in each other. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling this way. You're feeling this way. I'm finally in love. I finally found somebody. I can feel like myself around. So why can't that be fate? Why can't that be fate? I'm gonna call it fate. Why can't it be fate? Which is like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter how it happens, as long as it does happen, that's all that matters. Like everyone's story is different. So it's like she finally kind of came to that realization too, and that's like where the show ends. At the end, overall, I was a huge fan of the show. Again, seeing those two come together, seeing the kind of progression they both made, big, huge, true progress. Them together was just so cute. There's a lot of cute moments, the flirting they have, just so great. And overall, just an amazing show, incredible show that I really, really enjoyed. I really was invested in all the way. And one of my favorites romances I've seen in a little while. The last couple romances we've been on fire, and I can't wait to watch even more. But yeah, overall, the other day, 2 thumbs up. This was amazing. Yeah, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, like, keep on lookout for 1 video per week. The shorts are coming back too. And don't be surprised if I maybe delete the last 2 videos and try to redo them in a different way, because I like this format a little bit better than the actual format I usually do. That takes a very long time and it gets very complicated at some points or whatever. But I think I'm going to redo that because I think I want to do those videos a little bit better because they deserve to be a little bit better. So I'm going to do that. So those videos will probably be out during the weeks as well. Be on the lookout for more content coming soon. And yeah, once again, if you do like the content around here, hit the like button. If you do like this video, I really appreciate that. Leave a comment down below about something, whether about the channel or about the show or whatever. It just helps out the algorithm. So leaving a like and commenting will be really big. And if you do like the content, hit subscribe. If you want to hear more about romance anime, like hearing about romance anime, want to hear me talk about romance anime, just want to keep up with it or whatever, just want to support the channel, hit subscribe mean a lot to me. Also, go check out my main channel, Everyday Hoops, linked in the description below. We talk about basketball over there, literally the exact opposite of what we do over here. So if you like basketball, know someone likes basketball, let them know about the channel down below. We've been doing pretty well there, and a lot of content coming over there too. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.